I said it after my Arcane Season 1 review. I said it after reviewing the 4K Steelbook. I believe that Arcane may be the best animated series of all time. And, like, definitely my favorite. So, how was Season 2? If you haven't seen Arcane at all, I don't want to spoil anything for you. So, I will just let you know that if you haven't seen Arcane and you have access to Netflix, you need to at least give it a shot. Just give it a shot. Okay? Don't read any of the episode titles or the descriptions or anything like that. Just give it a shot. And if you like it, then hopefully you'll watch the rest of it and you'll really enjoy it. But I think that Arcane is probably the best animated series of all time, and you probably owe it to yourself to give it a shot if it does interest you. You might say, hey, I've never played League of Legends. I don't know anything about what's going on. Doesn't matter. I've never played League of Legends. And I loved season 1 of Arcane. Now, of course, we'll talk about season 2, but it's still probably the best animated series ever. So, yeah, don't let anything bother you. You know, oh, I've never played League. It doesn't matter. Just give it a shot, watch it, and hopefully you'll love it. So from here on out, we will get into I'll say a spoiler-free review for season 2. But you need to have seen season 1. So if you haven't seen season 1 yet, well, go watch that first and then come back. But let's do spoiler-free for season 2 first. Netflix released each act, 3 episodes. There's 9 total. They released each act on a weekend. My thing that I kept thinking was after the first weekend, I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. I still don't really know where we're going, but okay, I'm this is good, and I'll keep watching. After weekend 2, I was like, I feel like I'm missing something. There's a lot going on, and it doesn't feel very focused. It feels a little scatterbrained, and I was kind of worried. I remember thinking at the beginning of episode 5 that I was thinking, I don't know if this is working. I just don't know if it was working. By the end of episode 5, I was like, okay, I kind of see what's going on now. I'm getting it. Let's move on. And of course, I loved the way that Act 2 ended. I thought it was great. But then we came to Act 3, and where Act 3 falters is that it's building on a lot of things that I don't feel like I didn't feel as invested, I guess. And it's maybe because it's so scatterbrained, but also because, you know, season 1 is really a division of class, right? It's the Piltover elite versus the Piltover, you know, the poor people, right? And the underclass. There was a lot of things going on there, and it was a really interesting dynamic between this rich, out of touch upper class and this very like artistic and creative, but basically undermined underclass, right? And I felt like there was that was important, and it meant something, and it had real meat and passion to the storytelling. Here, because of everything that gets mixed up at the end of season 1, we're kind of left with like it's all Jinx. Like Jinx is the only villain and the only problem that Piltover seems to be dealing with, and then there's this alternate universe type thing going on. It just gets weird. It gets very strange, and like I said, a little bit scatterbrained, and it doesn't seem to really flow in a you know, from season 1. It doesn't flow as well, and that's kind of a bummer. But I will also say that when things started to wrap up, the clear antagonists made themselves known. There was I really was digging it, and it was, but it seemed like it took forever to get there. You know, I just that's kind of a bummer, you know, to me that it just felt like we were kind of scatterbrained the whole season until, you know, really the last 3 episodes kind of pointed you to this. Okay, here's where we're going. Here's where we're going. Okay, now it's over. And I remember when it ended, I was almost like, okay, it's over. Okay. I still feel like this is probably the best animated series we may ever see. at least for the very first foreseeable future. I don't think anybody's gotten even close to Fortiche and the French studio that did Arcane, and everyone else. I mean, it's an insanely beautifully crafted show. But I almost feel like I think the idea that, hey, we're going to end it at season 2. I wonder where in the storytelling process or in the creation of season 2 where they decided to do that, because I almost feel like we were going a different direction, and then there were a bunch of things that they wanted to do in the story, and then they wrap things up really fast in some cases, and then some others, like I said, I feel like the season just ended. So I wonder where they decided, hey, let's just make this 2 seasons. Maybe it's because it was such an expensive proposition to make Arcane, but I feel that I feel the storytelling suffered because of that. It's still a beautiful show. It's got everything technically that the first season has. It's beautiful to just look at. But like I said, I feel like the storytelling really kind of took a step backwards. And that's kind of a bummer because season 1 set such a high standard. So I will just say that, spoiler free, I think Arcane season 2, I liked it. I didn't love it. And I kind of feel like maybe Fortiche was saying, hey, let's leave some room for some other animated studios to come in and really knock it out of the park. I don't think they actually did that, but it feels like season 1 set such a high standard that it was almost impossible for season 2 to live up to it. And I just don't think it did. I mean, technically it's beautiful, but it's just not, it didn't, the story didn't hit for me. So I would say that it's kind of like if Arcane season 1 is like a 4-star perfect 10, which I don't know if it's a perfect 10, but you know what I mean? If that's the standard we're hitting, I feel like you're down a couple of notches, maybe a 7.5 out of 10 or a 3 out of 4 stars. That's what I would give season 2. So now let's talk just a couple of things, spoiler wise, just a couple of things that are just, like I said, off the top of my head, just trying to figure out the things that I didn't really connect with, right? This alternate sort of universe that that some of the characters find themselves in. There's a really, really great episode. Episode 7 is a really, really fantastic episode, kind of showing what could have been. And I really enjoyed that episode, but the problem is it still felt strange to do that and have such a like an emotional, almost like an emotional anchor between Jinx and Echo. And I feel like it was kind of a bummer that Echo wasn't even around with Jinx just kind of off on his own. And that's kind of a problem. One of the things about season 1 that I really loved is the first act is you're kind of seeing what Vi and Powder are like. And of course, Powder turns into Jinx, morphs into Jinx kind of. And their relationship is the anchor for the entire first season. Here, it's splintered, and it's like, oh, I'm okay with you now. And it seemed very abrupt. And then Vi goes to get Jinx. And this is episode 8, I believe. She goes to get Jinx out of jail. And she basically, Jinx says, tricks her and locks her in the cage and basically is saying, hey, I'm going to take myself out of the equation, pretty much. Basically, going to go off herself, right? And then Caitlyn comes in and they decide, you know what we should do right now? We should just have sex. That's weird to me. It seems it's odd. It's an odd choice. One of my favorite characters from season 1 was Silco, because he was such an intriguing character, and the way that everything sort of revolved around sort of his thing. And then of course Jinx does what Jinx does and takes Silco off the board. But here's the thing. We didn't have a character like that in season 2. And it turns out that Victor is kind of the ultimate villain antagonist, I guess, in season 2. And it just didn't have the same impact. It just didn't, I didn't I didn't care as much about that. Even though I liked Victor in season one, I liked Victor as a character very, very much. And I kind of enjoyed to see, okay, this is interesting where they're taking his character. But to have him kind of be the thing that everybody's fighting against at the end, it was kind of like, okay, this is odd, but okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm just, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. I just don't feel like it worked as well as season one. I also felt in season one that the character of Mel and of course her mother Mbessa was going to be like a big thing in season two, and Mel just kind of disappears for a while, and then all of a sudden she comes back and, oh, I got powers. Okay, and then Mbessa becomes kind of like the big heavy at the end. You know, she's not the ultimate, villain, but she's sort of the heavy that's like, oh, we gotta, whatever. And then I, it's just weird, man. I didn't like how all of that played out. It was just kind of there, and I didn't feel the impact. Like, I don't know. It just felt very meh. And for Arcane to feel that way, it felt kind of bad. It didn't feel great. That it was just okay. But I don't know. I guess that's just me on that. And the fact that there's, a lot of things that didn't really have like a big wrap up. Like there's questions, of course, on whether Jinx survived or not. There's a lot of open endings, and maybe that's on purpose because maybe a season 3 could happen. Maybe another offshoot of League of Legends could happen. But I don't know. I just felt kind of and even though I will end up buying the the season 2 4K when it comes out, I still feel like it's just a little disappointing. Like I said, it's a 7.5. It's a 3 out of 4. It's not perfect. It's not as close to perfect as you can get. So I don't know. But now it's your turn. You tell me, what did I miss? Like, I feel like I missed something, or maybe maybe I wasn't firing on all cylinders when I was watching. I don't know. But it just didn't seem to connect with me as well as season 1 did. But I would love to hear what your thoughts are. Where are the problems that you had? Maybe there's something that I missed that maybe would kind of link some things together that would almost like a Rosetta Stone of knowledge. I don't know. Maybe I have to play the games. I don't know. But I would love to hear from you. Let's talk about Arcane, because man, even though I'm a little disappointed with season 2, it's still an amazing show. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you on the next one.